Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're continuing the how to build a PC thingy. There's a video. Her PC's built. She's in the background over there. You can see her. Yes, I'm holding my mic. I don't have a stand yet. Don't judge. Anywho, yeah, it's built. So on the screen here is the specs. I will say the memory is different. We have a G-Skill rip jaws and not Corsair Vengeance, but this website doesn't have the rip jaws, so I use them as like a monetary example. It's around the same price. So, as we were talking about in the first episode, the first things you start with are what you're going to use it for and your budget, and where you're going to put it, because that's going to affect all of the stuff. So her budget was destroyed, absolutely destroyed. Her budget was originally around $1,200, and if you go down here, total price at the end of everything, that is including headphones, mouse, peripherals, not the monitor though, but including the peripherals, was $1,700. Without the peripherals, I believe it'd be at $1,500 ish, probably less, and that's also including a Wi-Fi adapter. So if you're using Ethernet, it'd be cheaper. We also got Windows 10 Home for about $10. Don't ask me how, don't ask me where, because I'm not going to tell you. Link in the description. Anywho, this is also not the storage. I don't know why the website doesn't have it, but again, that's kind of like the price point that we got ours at. Hers is actually 200. I keep saying ours. I'm stealing a computer now. Hers was actually 256 gigabytes for storage on an SSD. Real nice for the price. And then the 2 terabyte is her main one. All her Sims and her OS are the only things on the SSD. The rest of it's on the hard drive so far. So, as I said before, this is a build that it's not a mid-range build. We were starting out and it was going to be a mid-range build. This is a build that I wanted her to be able to keep for about 5 years and not have to worry about it. That is clicking in the background. Don't mind the mechanicalness of all the keyboards, because it's awesome. Anywho, as I was saying, I wanted to get her a computer that would last about 5 years and wouldn't have to upgrade in about 3. So it's definitely not a mid-range PC. If you want a mid-range PC, I can link mine in the description below. Mine is when it was first built, was $700. 6-core processor from AMD. Pretty good speed. Like I said, my computer, I believe, is 5 years old now. Last August is when it turned 5, and it still runs impressively good for a $700 PC. Admittedly, did have to upgrade the graphics card, which I had to put a little bit of money to do, but after doing that, it still runs like a dream. Probably not as good as hers. Hers is newer, and it definitely has the better equipment. I'm not gonna lie. Starting off with the CPU, she has an Intel Core i5-9600K, 3.7 gigahertz, 6-core processor. I wanted to get her a good amount of cores so she can do a lot of stuff at once, and Intels are way faster than AMDs. It's not even funny. So I mean, they're more expensive, Intel over AMD, but Intel was definitely the way to go for her specific build. As I said, I have an AMD FX 6300 6-core, and it's slower, but I don't notice it because I'm always running multiple things at once anyway. So that's what I needed it for. That was more so what it was used for. I definitely noticed the slowness in certain games such as EU4, Civ 5, CPU intensive games. I definitely notice that mine kind of drags on. It's not as good on them, admittedly. Now her CPU cooler is a Thermaltake CPU cooler. The one on here, right here, I don't know if it's the exact one. That's definitely not the price we paid. We paid around 20. We paid around 20 for ours, and I mean, it works for what she needs it to. It's got LEDs, but they're kind of breathing, and she can't figure out how to make them not breathe. And I think it's because I didn't plug something in, but we're not going to talk about it. User error. Anywho, so after the CPU cooler, I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's going to cool the CPU. I mean, I would go with a Hyper 212, but for the price that we got it at, definitely the thermal take was a good pickup. The motherboard is next up. We got here an AS Rock 7390 Extreme 4 ATX motherboard. This is a full tower motherboard. It is huge. It fits the highest speed RAM. It's a beast motherboard, and that's not the motherboard that I originally picked for her build, but it definitely carries its weight and does a great job and does everything she needs it to do at the price point that it's at. It was definitely one of the better pickups that I could have ever had. Now, her memory, as I said before, is actually a G-Skill Ripjaws DDR4 3200 instead of DDR4. I think it's 3200. It could be 3000 memory. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to get her 16 gigabytes for sure because of the photo editing and the video editing and all that stuff, and just so she's set going forward in the future. She doesn't really have to upgrade. For the type of games she plays, she'll never need 32 unless she's playing like the most advanced world builder in the future, which honestly could be the case. Sorry for the webcam that keeps for some reason pausing. I don't quite know why that is, but I don't know webcams that well. That's the fiance's field, believe it or not. I already talked about the storage. It's a Micro Center brand Inlim 256 gigabyte solid state drive. It uses the M2 slot with a heatsink. That way it doesn't get too hot. And it does what it needs to do. It does things very, very quickly. Turns on in about 4 seconds. Turns off in about 2. It's a very, very fast solid state drive. So I'm quite pleased. I hope she is as well. Next up, her normal storage is a Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte, 7200 RPM internal hard drive. I would recommend not spending more than like $70 on your hard drives unless you're a pro YouTuber recording like 30 episodes of something in a day. You really don't need that much space, and if you keep cleaning it out every once in a while, you'll be fine. You'll be fine going forward. You really don't need an excessive amount of hard drive space. And honestly, now that we're talking money on this, I apologize because I didn't talk money about anything else. For a solid state drive, I'd go to about 50, only because then you start getting little performance gains for a lot more money. Like the $108 one was a 512 gigabyte, but the 256 was 20. So if you just get 256s, you spend in $40 instead of one for over 100. So it's like I said, you get very little gain for how much more you're spending. Memory is kind of the same deal. I would ideally stay around $75. You can get the fastest speed memory. You won't get 32 gigs, but you can get 16, which will run almost every single game out nowadays. Will be fine with 16 gigs. If you want to go forward and upgrade in the future, you can, but that's just when you first build it. You want to save as much as possible usually, so that's what I would recommend. The motherboard, I keep it around 100 to 150, only because I keep it around 100 to 150, only because you don't really. Again, it's one of those things where every 100 you spend after that is very little performance gain. 150 is like the sweet spot. You get the most bang for your buck. That's what I would recommend. CPU cooler, $10 to $40 is typically what you're going to spend. Like I said, though, Hyper 212 Evo is probably the best cooler on the market right now. So I would definitely recommend picking that up, especially if you're going to game, record, stream, any of that stuff. You do need like a dedicated CPU cooler and not the one that comes with like the AMD ones. Apparently I learned that Intel doesn't even come with CPU coolers in their boxes anymore, which is strange. CPU, you kind of want to spend a good amount of your money on. Less than a video card, but more than everything else. Because it's the processing. It's the processing unit. It's the main part that makes your computer run. So you don't want to go cheap on it, but it doesn't have to be the top of the line like $1,000 newest i9. So as you can see here, we went about 200 to 250, and that's fine. Mine, I believe, was 120 on sale for the FX 6306 core, and that's still, as I said, it struggles on certain CPU intensive games, but GPU intensive games, it runs just fine in. So it's definitely a good pickup still at 120. Hers is also a really good pickup at like 220, I think is what we paid. It's ridiculously fast, and it has the 6 cores, so you can't beat it. Alright, so next up on the list, now that we're done backtracking, finally the video card, the most expensive part of a PC build. If it's meant for gaming, should be your video card. If not, just use the Intel HD graphics that comes with the slightly higher end Intel processors. You will thank me later. That's saving you lots of money. But if your main goal is gaming, then you're going to need a good graphics card. And especially if you're playing the newest games, expect to update this every 2 years, because graphics are becoming way, way, way more intensive and realistic and crazy. So for my fiance's personal experience, she doesn't need the best graphics card on the planet, but I wanted to get her a very, very, very good graphics card. And the MSI GeForce RTX 2060 6GB for $360, the performance, you can't really beat it. It's kind of like a GTX 970, where that's what's in my computer now. For 5 years, I've had no problems with it. It runs everything at a 60 frames, and if not at 60, then slightly lower at like 55, and that's on CPU intensive games where the CPU is the problem and it can't really keep up. But I've never had a problem with my GPU, and I don't think she will for a long time. So I definitely recommend the RTX 2060 for the best bang in the buck at that price range. Like I said, you're talking about a computer that's, $1,500, and that's a fifth of your budget. That's 20% of your budget in one item. So that's pretty crazy. Now, her case, I would not recommend spending over $200 on a case. I just wouldn't. It's not worth it at that point. But she really wanted the Razer case, so I made it work. I wish I could have put that money somewhere else, but I didn't, and that's fine. And we still made it work. And part of the reason I'm saying this is because if you want to go for a more expensive case, just understand you're going to have to go cheaper somewhere else in the future. You can't get a $200-something case and not expect to cheap out. Maybe you can't get a Samsung brand SSD and you have to get the Inland brand. It's way cheaper that way. So just keep that in mind when picking out a case. Mine, personally, for a $750 budget build was $50. Hers for a $1,500 build was $200. So she definitely has that brand loyalty, but it's what she wanted, and you had to give people what they want. You have to give people what they want when you're building PCs, or else they will never let you build their PC ever again. So the next stop is the power supply, and I can only say this so many times. I'm only going to say it once. Because if you don't get it, then don't build a PC. The power supply is the most important part of your computer. Because without it, if it has a power surge, if it breaks, if anything goes wrong with the power supply, the rest of your computer is dead. Motherboard will get fried, the CPU then will get fried, the GPU or the graphics card will get fried. Anything that's plugged in the USB drives will be fried. It's the power supply. You need a very good power supply on your built PC. I do not recommend spending anything less than $90, even on sale. Mine personally was $90 on sale. It reads $90 on sale. It retailed at $170. Hers, we got it for $120, retailed for $150. And we both got EVGA Supernovas. I recommend EVGA. I only recommend 80 plus gold. And I only recommend, especially if you're really into cable management, fully modular power supplies. You will save a hell of a lot of time and frustration getting a full modular power supply. It makes cable management just that much easier. It makes your case look that much nicer. So there's not much more I can say. I got the 650 watt because my personal computer is a 750 watt, and I've never even hit 400 watts, as I said in the first video. So it's a little crazy to have that much. Hers is a 650. She's only estimated to hit about 360 watts. She's only estimated to hit about 360 watts. So even 650 is a little bit overkill, but I wanted to give a little bit of room for expansion and growth. As I said, her operating system is Windows 10, 64-bit. Not much to say there. Try to not find it for $100 because it's software. You can easily download it from Microsoft's website, and then put that on a flash drive, install it on your make that your boot device. Install it on the computer. Bing, bang, boom. All you have to do is activate it. You can buy a code for like $10 on different sites. As I said, that'll be in the description down below. The site that I used and I recommend. Now, wireless. Now we're getting into the peripherals and the stuff that I didn't really have much of a say on. Kind of. I say kind of because the wireless network adapter I did. We got the Asus. I don't know if this is the exact one, but the price looked around right, so that's why I picked this one off the site. I don't know, though. It's an Asus USB one. It has the cradle. It's definitely a 3.0. I don't know if the 802.11. I don't know. That's a bunch of nonsense to me. $70. How would you say it works?
What?
How good's your internet speed?
So far, so good. I haven't had any problems.
So far, so good. Yay! I picked the good one. I don't know if that's true. Anywho, yeah. Don't cheap out here. I believe I'm using like a $20 one, and it's not good. I think it's a D-Link. Don't use Linksys though. I've owned 4 of those, and they all broke and they all sucked. So just don't buy. And they all broke and they all sucked. So just don't buy Linksys. But D-Link and Asus, I would definitely recommend. Netgear, I also would not recommend. Netgear is awful software and awful customer service, just awful everything. For case fans, more RGBs, so many more RGBs. Oh. They are Corsair SB120s, super quiet, super quiet. Definitely would recommend. I didn't think I would recommend these, but they are super quiet and so good. You get 3 for $60, $20 per. For RGB with a controller, that's an unbeatable price. What?
I figured something out. I'm really excited.
She figured out something and she's really excited, so I'm gonna have to speed this video up. Yeah. Alright, so
Do I get to explain the excitement?
I was gonna speed the video up and then talk to you at the end. Why is it video important?
Your your video.
Then I'll talk to you later. Get out of my video.
But
Get out. No. No source. What? What are you doing?
Well, I had to download all the softwares and everything, so I downloaded Logi.
Mm-hmm.
So there.
Yeah, you can do OBS on Logi. Right? Is that what you figured out?
I
Just
can
burst your
record
bubble.
my display
Mm-hmm.
and then my face.
Yes.
So like, if I did a speed build, but I wanted to put my face
Yes.
over it, I can record it with this.
You can.
Which Logi I understand a little better than.
Okay, if you want to do that, good luck. It's not going to look as good. Probably. And not export as well. It's probably. I say probably because I don't really know. Anywho. Alright. Fuck, I muted myself now. Alright. Cut all of that out. Future Chris. Okay? Okay. So yeah, highly would recommend those fans. Next up is the monitor. I didn't choose it because it wasn't on the list on this PC part builder doc. I used to recommend this, and I recommended it in the first video. And I'm starting to second guess that recommendation because this site doesn't have a lot of crap. Anywho, she has the Acer HAO monitors here. I don't know. HAO series monitor. It's a 23-inch LED. I'm reading right off the box. 23-inch LED monitor. It's got some other. It's a 75 hertz monitor. It's shit. I'm trying. It's a 75 hertz monitor. It's not a gaming monitor really, but she doesn't need anything. Nobody needs anything that impressive in my opinion, and it was about $100, so that's a steal for a good ass monitor. So it's very pretty. It's got a very small edge, as you can't see. Yeah, basically. But yeah, it's super good. It's the upgraded version of mine, so that's something. We're in the same family.
Same setup if you count the ROC.
Yeah. Oh, her second monitor, because she has two. She stole the second one from my parents, which was really rude. But it's an AOC something. I have no clue what that monitor is called besides
E2252S.
E2205 something. Yeah, it's a 20 something 20 to 22 inch monitor. It's not that impressive. It has an anti-glare screen, which is really good for a monitor that was I think $80 that I bought. So it gets the job done. It's never going to be a main monitor, but as a secondary monitor, I would definitely recommend it. It's the cheapest, but the best that I found. Moving on the keyboard, the thing that I think she loves the most on the planet, because she's been click-clacking away this whole video. Razer Huntsman. That one shows the black one. She has the quartz one. It matches all of her stuff, aka pink. The girl who hates pink bought the pink stuff. Anywho, she has the Huntsman. She loves it. The optomechanical switches that she doesn't quite understand kind of mess her up because they are very, whereas Razer switches are light and you can kind of jump between the keys very easily in the typing, you can still type accurately. With the Huntsman, that's sped up tenfold, and you have to very tight, a very tiny tap, and you activate the key. So it's very sensitive, and it's a bit of a learning curve especially if you're going from a membrane where you have to push down 100%. Those you can push down about 2%, and they click the key in, and it's pretty sweet, but I think it might be too fast for some people. So I would definitely recommend before you jump to an optomechanical switch, you go to a mechanical, especially if you're trying to stay within the Razer family. I would probably recommend the Razer Black Widow or the Razer, I forget what it's called, Ornata. I think that's a membrane. I don't know what Razer keyboards are.
Give me a second.
Razer, help.
I'm doing it.
Okay. No, they are not as the mecha membrane. Optomechanical. I found it.
The Sonosa.
The Sonosa. Do they only have a couple now? Huh. Interesting. No, but the Sonosa I think is also a membrane. I don't know. I would definitely recommend if you're coming from like a membrane going to the Sonosa or the Razer Black Widow, if you definitely want to jump to a mechanical, just make sure you go to the store. Razer's very, very nice, and they cut out the arrow keys on the box so you can kind of feel the keys before you buy. Just play around with the keys. Make sure they're to your liking. I could see people like my brother, who is only 5 years older than me, having trouble with the faster keyboards just because they are a bit of a learning curve, especially the optomechanical is definitely more of a learning curve. I mean, I have the Razer Black Widow X, and the Huntsman was a bit of a challenge for me at the start, so I say a bit. I got over it in like an hour. So, I mean, if you're used to mechanical, you can definitely figure it out. If you're not, try to go for not an optomechanical right away, because it is a bit of a curve.
Oops.
What? You're being dumb. She's being very dumb. Anywho, next up is the mouse. Because I don't want to blow it up. She is the Razer Basilisk. Also, next up is the mouse. She has the Razer Basilisk wired mouse, which she got it in the quartz, of course, because it matches all of her stuff. The reason she got it is because she didn't like how the Lance head looked, and she wanted the quartz edition mouse from Razer. Yeah, and she also, I think, do you like how it has that little thumb pad?
Oh my god, it's so comfortable.
You like that?
This little, like...
The little thing that holds your thumb, yeah. She doesn't use the extra key that's there, but the thumb pad is very, very comfy. And I'm going to be jealous. I use the Razer Death Adder Elite, and I think the only reason I continue to use it and refuse the upgrade is because of the expense. Because it cost me about $80 for this mouse, and then I have a Razer Death Adder regular as well for my laptop. That cost me another $60. So yeah, it'd be a lot of money. What's up?
So that's a key, right? Could I set it to a key on the keyboard? I want to.
What key?
I want it to be my C key.
Why C? For your capture?
So if I'm like in the game, I'm not like...
I'll show you how to set it up in a second.
Thank you. By the way...
Also do a video on it.
So my birthday's coming up. And Christmas.
I'm recording a video. Some people have no respect.
Okay, but I'm just
Are you
saying,
kidding me?
Mom asked, like, what to get me. And Razer has their respawn shaker in quartz now.
You don't need a shaker.
But I won't respawn.
Okay. Anywho. Getting back. I'm on the last item.
We really gotta get you a nightstand.
Actually, this is kind of comfy. This is kind of... Cut that out. Anywho. After the... I don't even know where I'm going to cut from, but that's got to get cut somehow. The next up on the list is the headphones. Now, this is not the headphones that she has. For some reason, it added the ones that I have personally. But yes, I have the Razer Kraken X 7.1 channel headset. Their USB headset, which is why I use iPod. Like, literally, one of the first generations of the iPod headphones are in my ear right now. Anywho. Yeah, so I use those. She uses the Razer Kraken something. Pro. Quartz edition, of course, because God forbid we go without pink. Yeah, she uses the quartz. She loves it, and she loves the cooling gel. Alright, so apparently her computer's going to be like $1,800 by the time it's done, because God forbid it just can't be done. Alright, anywho, cut all that out. Yeah, so that's her build. she couldn't be happier at about. Well, she could be happier if she had some damn speakers, apparently. But twice. All right. So here's the kicker. So her computer's about $1,500, and our graphics cards are about the same price. Our CPU, my CPU was cheaper. My motherboard was about the same. So her computer was twice the price of mine, but about the same amount of power. The only thing that is a lot better, and I will continue to say this, because I used to think Intel was a bad way to go, and I thought AMD was much better, but my AMD FX 6300 is not as good as her i5 9600K. And I mean, that's that, and I can admit that, but it's also twice as much as mine, so it better be better. But yeah, that's kind of the 1 point. I want to call this like episode 1.5 because it was mainly about her computer and not so much about how to build your own PC. Actually, that's exactly what it was all about her building and not really how to build one. But kind of the point of this was to show like what kind of parts go into about a $1,500 build and how much money you should spend on each part. The peripherals are all up to you. I'm not going to tell you how much you should spend on a pair of headphones. That is what you want. That is what you want, and that is, that's all you. Once you get to the keyboard, mouse, and like basically the monitor down on this screen is all personal choice, and I would never tell anybody what to buy at that point because everyone's different. Everyone likes different things.
Buy Razer, always.
Alright, so that'll be all for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As I said, I'll be releasing the advanced how to build a PC, and that one. So that'll be all for me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like below. Comment your build. I want to know how much you spent, if it's good, if it's not good, and I basically want to, I want to see you guys' thoughts on everything. Was this a good build in your opinion? Is it a good price in your opinion? This, that, and the third, everything like that. Please subscribe for future content, as it really does help grow the channel. And I will see you all next time. Bye.